Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching Tesla Time News.
Episode 249.
On Now You Know.
We are brought to you, as always, by our amazing Patreon patrons. We had a great live stream this last Saturday with some of our patrons. It was really nice to talk to you guys. So head over to patreon.com/nowyouknow, and you can sign up for monthly live streams, as well as lots of other great perks. This episode is sponsored by Magic Spoon Cereal.
I think I mentioned this before. I haven't had cereal for years, and it's because most cereal is full of sugar and carbs and...
Just say it. Guilt.
Right. It was something you eat as a kid, and then you can never go back. You can never be a kid again.
Well, with Magic Spoon, you can be a kid again because you don't have to feel guilty when you eat cereal.
Yeah, check out this chart. Protein. Every bowl of Magic Spoon cereal is full of protein.
Carbs? It has barely any.
Sugar? 0.
And it's gluten-free.
Now, I hear what you're saying. Well, then it must taste like cardboard. And I'm here to tell you that it tastes like yummy cereal.
It comes in a bunch of awesome flavors like peanut butter, fruity, cocoa, cinnamon, frosted, and blueberry. What's your favorite?
So far, my favorite is frosted, probably because the only time I could have frosted cereal as a kid was when I stayed over my friend Jason's house. But how about you?
So far, mine is peanut butter.
So to get your Magic Spoon cereal and $5 off your first order, go to magicspoon.com/NYK. And we're also brought to you by BigBattery.com. No matter what you need to power, Big Battery can provide you with the latest battery tech at the best price per kilowatt hour, guaranteed. Their batteries are easily installed, require zero maintenance, and they're made right here in the U.S. Pick up yours today at BigBattery.com and use code NowYouKnow for 5% off at checkout. All right, so last week we told you about how the show was sponsored by Tesla, and that is because, well, this happened.
Yeah, that was one of our neighbor's Nest cams catching a giant truck, speeding down the road, flipped over, smashed into the telephone pole. Last week, we only had one picture to show you, and this week we have the video.
Two angles.
Amazing. Nest is cool, isn't it? Yeah.
How did he get airborne and flip it and then walk away unharmed?
That's, yeah.
But I want to talk about how fragile our power grid is. If a truck could basically take out power for the entire day for an entire neighborhood.
Right. I mean, you see trucks all the time, don't you? And to know that just, one telephone pole, which is usually like 3 feet from the road.
Yeah. I mean, look outside your house right now. And if you're in the US or probably pretty much anywhere, you're going to see a pole with wires on it. If that pole comes down, you don't have power. You probably don't have internet.
Right.
And so basically two of arguably some of the most important things you have in your house, power and internet, are just one snapped pole away from going away.
And Tesla is able to provide both of those things.
Yeah.
We have backup power from Powerwalls, and we have solar on our roof, and we have Starlink internet. And so, worst case, if it had cut internet that day, we could have uploaded the show via Starlink as if we were our own little independent country, practically.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about how Elon has been talking about this HVAC system that he's been thinking about. And one of the interesting things about air conditioners, for those of you who have ever walked in a city down the sidewalk and gotten dripped on, and you're like, what? It's a hot day out. Why is it? And you look up and it's the air conditioner dripping water. Air conditioners are dehumidifiers, which means that they take the water out of the air and they turn it into water. So Elon's idea was that you could have a more efficient air conditioner that could also be taking that water and you could be using it.
Yeah, it's clean, fresh water. And instead of dumping it on the sidewalk, which is what we do now, you could save it and drink it and use it. And so that means that one of Elon's companies could be providing you with power, internet, heating and cooling, and water.
And now, of course, the HVAC isn't out yet, but it's so cool that one guy is working on all of this. And that's why whenever we lose power, we're just like, oh my gosh. Thank you, Tesla, because sure, there are generators and stuff, but they're very loud. We wouldn't be able to record the show. They're so loud. So yeah, it's amazing that all of this works.
Now, we covered the Plaid event on our live stream last Thursday night and our in-depth on Friday, so we won't bore you with all that again. You can go check it out if you haven't seen it, but we do have some updates.
Tesla Raj tweeted this, a photo of what appears to be the connection for the 12-volt battery on the Model S Plaid, and it is a lithium-ion.
Yeah, Elon tweeted, "At last." I mean, we know he's been waiting to get rid of the old school lead acid battery. They're so big, they're so antiquated. But I have a question here because as I was thinking about it, I'm like, Wait a minute. Lithium ion doesn't do that well in cold weather. And so when you need all those cold cranking amps, what are you going to do?
What are you cold cranking?
You know, you get in the car and you're like...
Right. This isn't an electric car. The only thing that it has to do is,
right.
you know, there's a little relay and it's going to close a contactor. That's all it's doing.
Right.
That's really it.
And I know that Elon wants to get past this antiquated 12-volt system. It's such low voltage, it barely can run things, especially when things get cold. I'm hoping this is the first step to 48 volts or something higher.
Right. I mean, what that would allow you to do would be to shrink down the size of the wires that, you know, power everything, because you'd be flowing a higher voltage through it, but at a lower amperage.
Right.
And so the wires wouldn't heat up as much. So the whole car could be lighter and more efficient. Just like with this battery pack, the battery pack's lighter.
Yeah.
So now instead of having to lug around this giant lead, like lead is heavy. Lithium-ion batteries are not heavy compared to lead.
Although, are you going to be able to change it yourself, or are you going to have to go to a Tesla service center for that?
I mean, that is a good point. Right now, you can head down to AutoZone, pick up your crappy lead-acid battery that has to be replaced every once in a while, and when it goes, it's big pain. Now it seems like whatever this battery is, Tesla's going to have to do it. It has special connectors. Maybe gone are the days where you're going to be able to jumpstart your friend's car with your Tesla.
All right, enough talk about batteries. I want to see the car launch.
Preparing for launch. Go. Whoa!
Holy
Whoa!
Holy shit.
Oh my gosh.
That was amazing.
Wow. That was so cool.
That was a launch in the nighttime. I want to see one in the daytime.
Okay, starting up. Ready?
Alrighty.
Here we go.
Jesus Christ!
Whoa! That was 90. Wow. Just got up to 90 in like 3 seconds. Holy crap. Wow.
My hat fell off.
That is sick, man. I don't think I'll ever get bored of that.
Yeah, this is a very serious car.
I'm sorry, did you see that? Before I could even see that it was on 60,
I
it
know.
was at 60.
Right. I mean, normally, you know, your eye can kind of glance down and feel like, oh, I didn't take any time with my eyes moving. That time, like, normally is like whatever. But here you're just like, oh, and we're
at speed.
We're at the speed, yeah.
Now, questions have been coming in. One of the big ones is, do you get a different badge on the Plaid? And that night, we got some pictures of what appears to be the new Plaid badge.
Which is funny. I mean, I didn't think that it was going to be a Plaid badge. I thought it was going to say Plaid in letters. I thought that I saw somewhere that it said Plaid in letters.
Yeah, I guess this
Maybe
is...
these are the special first edition.
Maybe.
You get a special Plaid. I mean, it's very cool.
I love it.
Yeah. And then we saw a picture of what appears to be a Tesla gaming controller, which kind of looks like the yoke a little bit. It looks very much like a PlayStation controller, although not with the buttons in the right hand corner with the X, Y, A, B. That's
Wait, so
very
you think this
Xbox.
is an actual Tesla controller?
I don't know. It doesn't.
It looks a little like it was like printed on a laser printer, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
It looks a little handmade.
Yeah.
But maybe that's their prototype and they're going to be coming out with new ones. I don't know. It'd be very interesting to see.
All right, so let's talk about Tesla's new interface. And I just want to show you here kind of a montage showing that Tesla's interface has come a long way. It never was a bad-looking interface, but it's just getting better and better.
Mm-hmm.
So let's first look at the suspension page, because that's one of the big differences here in the car. You can see that you get stats for each wheel. You can choose from comfort, auto, sport, and advanced, and you can tweak the ride comfort and handling.
But everything here appears to be almost the same as what we've seen before in terms of Model S. There is the launch page, which Model S's have been able to launch before. And there's the new shifter, which is completely different.
Wait, so that bar on the left is how you shift? Do you swipe up and down?
You can swipe up and down to change the direction that the car is going to go. It's funny that we call it shifting because you're not shifting gears.
Right. A lot of these are old, antiquated terms.
Right.
Yeah. But here's my concern. There doesn't appear to be track mode.
Okay, let's talk about track mode for a minute. So, like, if you buy a Model 3 Performance today, you can get track mode with it. And that allows you to change the bias in terms of, like, do you want to have more power going to the rear wheels if you want to, like, do some drifty? Do you want to put more power to the front wheels? Not exactly sure why you would want to do that in terms
control.
of racing. Maybe.
Ice racing, Jesse. Ice racing.
That's true. And you can also adjust some stability controls and stuff like that. You also got a great dashboard that can, like, track your times and everything.
Yeah. This is Model 3 Performance. Why isn't it in the Model S?
Here's my thought. Elon said during the presentation that they wanted to bring it to Nürburgring.
Right. So it has to have track mode for that.
It probably does. My guess is they're going to bring it to Nerdbring. They're going to do whatever tests they're going to do, break a record is my guess. They're going to try and break a record at the race course. And then my thought is with the tweaks, whatever software tweaks they have, like there's going to be an engineering team there.
Right.
They're going to write the code for Model S track mode. And then they're going to release
But it's just the same as Model 3 track mode. Come on.
Oh, no. Because this car has 3 motors in it.
Yeah.
Which means that you can do torque steering.
What?
So the 2 rear wheels, you can actually power them independently of each other.
Oh, right.
So what you could do would be to basically power the outside wheel if you're taking a turn, and that outside wheel could almost help the car with the turn.
Oh, wow. I didn't think of that. And so you could have controls for that in the new track mode that would be specific to the Model S.
Right. I'm guessing that there's going to be different settings for the Model S Plaid track mode, and they're going to have to tweak all of the motor curves and responses and everything like that because you're dealing with a much different motor.
Maybe they're going to put some controls on the yoke so that you can like steer your back wheels while you're driving or something.
You could do something like that.
But here's another question. I had heard that there was going to be a tilt screen coming on the Model S, and it wasn't there on the night of the event. And so we heard from some of our spies that some of the Tesla engineers said that that it's coming. So doesn't it seem like they rushed this?
Well, you might be worried that like it doesn't have the hardware to tilt, like that they're going to be delivering cars that won't have hardware for tilting screens. I think that the screen tilt might not be like a manual, like you're just going to start wrenching a screen around, and it's going to be maybe motorized.
Oh, so it might already be in there, just not the software.
So yeah, with some software updates. And here's what I would really like for Model S owners. You get the car, right? It's amazing. You have a great, amazing couple weeks or months with it. And then some updates start coming out, giving you more features. I experienced this with the Model 3. Like when I first got my car, it didn't have rear seat heaters. And then without having to go get them installed, they were already installed. One day I could just turn on the rear seat heaters and I was like, wow, a brand new feature in my car. That's not how cars usually work. No. It's usually, oh no, my 4-wheel drive broke. Oh no, my air conditioning has stopped working. I'm losing features in my car. It's the opposite with Tesla. And I think that it's it would be kind of smart to roll these features out like track mode and the tilting screen.
It just seemed like they were trying to get ahead of the Lucid Air, which is coming out soon, and they just wanted to get it to market before them. Is there any other reason why you think they didn't just wait till they had these features done?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think that they are trying to like beat the Lucid Air both to market, which I think is fair. But a lot of people were worried because the Model S doesn't have the same range as the Lucid, to which I say, okay, so the Lucid has 500 miles of range. That's amazing. We haven't seen it tested yet, but I will believe them. 500 miles. My question is, what happens when you drive the 500th mile?
You charge it?
Where?
Oh, you're right. They don't have a charging network.
Yes, they can probably charge at Electrify America, so you're going to be stopping at a Walmart somewhere. With the Tesla, the Plaid has 390 miles of range. It's pretty good. Not anything. I wouldn't be like, oh no, only 390. And then you get to a supercharger. And we know what the supercharger experience already is. There's no question.
Right. 187 miles in 15 minutes.
So
right.
To me, you have the quickest accelerating production car on the earth, and you have arguably the best charging network on the earth, depending on where you live. Here's one other point that I just want to bring up. The Model S seems a little bit overbuilt, especially for American roads. You're saying like, okay, we got all this, you can go 200 miles an hour.
Oh, I see what you mean.
That's too fast. Like there's no speed limit in America think about Germany. There are some German people who like to go on the Autobahn and like to go as fast as they possibly can on land. I don't know if it's because they hate flying in planes, but they really want to go super fast on the Autobahn. The Model S could go pretty fast before, but it would overheat. And so a lot of Germans were like, well, it's not an Autobahn car. I don't want it. Model S has some improvements that kind of get overlooked. They aren't the motors. It's the radiator. They have a bigger radiator and a heat pump. And that's going to allow for faster speeds for longer. It's going to allow for more 0 to 60 runs for the guys who like to drag race it. And it's also going to mean better range in cold weather. So I'm thinking Norway, I'm thinking Canada, all sorts of different cold climates where, the Model S was fine. It was able to handle, and very popular car in, say, Norway. But this one's going to be even better. And if you would just please hit the like button, we would really appreciate it. Helps out the show a lot. You just hit the little thumbs up and we can move on with the show.
So Tesla has downgraded the EPA estimated range of the Model S long range from 412 miles to 405 miles.
Oh my God. What?
What are you doing?
I have to cancel my order, of course. This is ridiculous.
I don't see what the big deal is. It's 7 miles.
7 miles.
It's not like this is even EPA rated range yet. We're still waiting for them to officially test it.
7 miles? Do you even hear yourself? 7 miles is everything. Don't you know how long it would take for me to walk 7 miles?
Like 2 hours?
2 hours. Elon took 2 hours of my life away.
Wait, what? Wait a minute. Hang on. What? Has everyone lost their mind? Why is this even a story? Like, this was everywhere all over the internet. Everyone, get a grip. Let's spend our time talking about things that are important, not tweaks to the range estimates of the Model S, okay? Do you seriously have an order for the Model S, by the way?
No. Are you kidding? I can't afford that. Range is important. I will argue every moment of every day that range is important, but 7 miles on a car that can go over 400 miles.
Well, let's talk about, if we're going to talk about range, let's talk about the Taycan. The Taycan has a range that's in the 220 mile-ish range.
No. Well, third-party independent testers have tested that it's higher. So no, it's even if you decent range.
Let's give it to them. Let's give them 280 miles of range.
Okay.
That's still not 390 miles of range.
No, it is not.
So it's just like we're talking 7 miles here, and we haven't even gotten EPA rated range yet. So let's just hang on.
And here's the thing with EPA rated range. Let's talk about any rated range. It's not perfect because it totally depends on the way that you drive.
Right. I mean, EPA is just half highway, half city, which is like the average of what people do.
Right. And I mean, I want to give the EPA credit. This was supposed to be for just gas mileage.
Right.
It was just supposed to tell us like what the gas mileage of the car I could sort of expect.
Well, and here's the
when I
other
went
thing.
to the pump, I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh.
When, because gas cars are so inefficient, if you drive them, say, 60 miles an hour or you drive them 80 miles an hour, there's not a whole lot of difference because they're already so inefficient. With the electric car, if you drive 60 miles an hour on the highway, you get a completely different range than if you drive 80.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, some people will say like, oh, I didn't get the range that it rated. Okay, you were driving fast. And there's me over here driving back roads just for fun. And it's like, my car should only have 260 miles of range. It's saying like, oh, you keep driving like this, you're going to get 318 miles. I'm like, well, that's amazing because I'm only at 80%.
So we don't usually report on the comings and goings of people at Tesla.
Tesla is known for being a place where you go to work your butt off. And then for many who can't cut the rigorous work and long hours, they update their resumes, head over to Facebook or Apple or Uber.
But Gerome Guillen is different. 48-year-old Gerome Guillen has been by Elon's side since 2010, working in many important capacities from the Model S program director during its launch to overseeing the entire automotive business to most recently president of Tesla Heavy Trucking.
Well, we're sad to say that as of June 3rd, according to a recent SEC filing, Gerome has left Tesla.
Yeah, Gerome is responsible for overseeing the opening of the Shanghai Gigafactory, and what a tremendous job he did. I mean, it opened on schedule and on budget.
We're very sad to see Gerome go.
And unlike many people that leave Tesla who are just itching to tell you about their new job at Facebook or whatever, Gerome has not updated his LinkedIn, which leads me to believe that he's probably just taking a much-needed vacation from Tesla. I mean, he's been working nonstop for 10 years.
So, Gerome, if you're listening, thank you so much for putting all of your hard work into Tesla. I really appreciate it. You've made this company into what it is today. I wish you the best of luck on whatever else you're working on. And, if you ever want to ride in the Roadster, I'm sure you'll have your own Roadster, but we'd love to give you a ride someday.
So Madison, Wisconsin's fire department, Fire Station 8, just got what they say is the first electric fire truck in North America.
Fire Station 8 is on Madison's east side, and they now have an all-electric Pierce Volterra pumper truck.
Now, Pierce, by the way, is headquartered in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, so this kind of makes sense, right? And they are a subsidiary of Oshkosh Corp., which, if you remember, is that company that got the United States Postal Service contract for the new electric fleet, but it turns out the fleet won't be electric.
Now, I do want to point out that this 155 kilowatt-hour battery pack truck also has a parallel diesel powertrain. So, weird, right?
Yeah, like I know why Pierce did this. It's to assuage the fire departments.
To assuage them?
Yeah, you know the word assuage, right? You learned that in English class.
I did.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that the big concern of many fire chiefs is that they'll buy a newfangled electric fire truck and it'll conk out on them on the way to the house fire. And so with a parallel diesel powertrain, they feel like, well, I know that big stinky engine will still work.
But just think of all the added expense and maintenance and weight that they have to drag around.
Yeah, I mean, that, I don't know. I was super excited about it being an all-electric fire truck until I heard that it has this parallel diesel powertrain. It just makes you feel like, I don't know, like it just feels like now it's a hybrid.
It is a hybrid, and it's disappointing, but, for a while, plug-in hybrids were big, and everyone was like, everyone's going to have a plug-in hybrid because who knows about electricity? We don't know anything, so who knows?
It may not last.
You may not have electricity. But you'll definitely have some weird juice that we pulled out of the ground and did some stuff to. Okay, this is fine, in my opinion. Here's what's going to happen, is my thought. They're going to drive this truck around for quite some time. They're going to go, wow, we never need to use the diesel. Or they're going to go, oh, we forgot to plug it in, so we only run it off the diesel, which I could also see happening. But I think that if you spent this much money on a fire apparatus, that you are going to want to use it the way that it is intended. And I have full faith in the fire department to run it on electric most of the time. Here's my thought. Going forward, they're going to say, yeah, we don't need the diesel engine in it. We could buy a fully electric one.
Right. I mean, this Volterra fire truck was placed into service a few weeks ago and has already responded to over 200 calls. Now, Madison has the goal of reaching 100% renewable energy and net zero emissions by 2030. This is their 61st electric vehicle.
So good for you, Madison.
Hey, so do you want to go for a ride in the Las Vegas Loop? An
yes.
exclusive ride?
Well, right, but we are not in Las Vegas.
But our buddy Mark is.
Hey, Zach and Jesse, I just got a ride in the Vegas Loop, so enjoy. It wasn't supposed to happen that way, but somebody took pity on me, and I got a layover here in Vegas. So I just kind of took a quick look over, talking to a couple people, and yeah, so here you go. Enjoy. How long is the loop? How long does it take?
It's a very short leg. It's a 1.6 mile.
So this is our buddy Mark. He's from right here in Massachusetts. He went to visit the Loop because he's an airline pilot. He's all over the country all the time. And he got to ride in the Loop and show it to us. So you're getting an exclusive look here. So some of the things we learned is that, yes, there are drivers still in those Model Ys and Xs. But I'm hoping that soon, once it's proven, that they'll be able to at least go to safety driver mode and then maybe eventually they'll be kicked out of the car. Right. I don't know.
Another thing that I noticed is that they're not going very fast.
Yeah, it seems that they topped out at like 35 miles an hour. My question is, if you are actually driving, that's a really narrow tunnel to be driving in. And if you go much faster than 35, I would think that could be problematic.
Yeah, so my thought is that, this is paid for by the Las Vegas Convention Center. And my thought is that they were like, the boring company was like, hey, you want us to go 125 miles an hour? And they're like, nope, traffic on the strip's already pretty bad. This is already pretty exciting.
Right. Take it slow.
Take it slow. There's no reason to risk anything. And I would honestly agree with them. Like, better to just have this flashy new attraction to Las Vegas, and getting people in a bunch of Teslas is fine by me.
I think they're going to have to figure out something to do when you start to let passengers into an autonomous car with no safety driver that still has a steering wheel, because they're going to want to touch it. And so unless it's just deactivated, what happens when a drunk person gets in and either bumps it or grabs it?
I think when they take the safety drivers out, because this is all a closed loop course, that they're going to be able to take the steering wheel out.
That's going to be cool. I can't wait for that.
That'll be really exciting. And we know that they're going to be expanding this loop. So more and more of Las Vegas will be able to be serviced by this.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it could go all the way to the airport.
That would be amazing, especially if they had a leg where you could really let it rip and they could have like a Plaid S that you could pay a little extra for.
And I just want to talk about this tweet from Steve Jurvetson. He's an early investor in the boring company. He said, like the sandworms of Dune, the new boring machines porpoise up and down without needing a big pit at each end, dramatically reducing dig time and cost and complexity. So yeah, can you imagine if you're just walking along Las Vegas one day and you see this like...
Very interesting point. So I don't think we've seen this actually happen before.
No.
This picture looks like it's the only example of it. Yeah, we haven't seen it like just kind of dig down into the earth before.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really possible, like he said, but if it's true, I mean, that would be a new innovation in tunnel digging.
Definitely. So on Tuesday, Lordstown Motors disclosed in a 10Q form to the SEC that it was in dire straits.
They said the company believes that its current level of cash and cash equivalents are not sufficient to fund commercial scale production and the launch of sale of such vehicles. What we are saying is that if we don't get any funding, we might only make half of what we thought. That is what Lordstown CEO Steve Burns said Monday during a conference call.
These reports led to a 41% drop in the stock on Tuesday to $9, recovering slightly to over $11 by the end of the week. Then on Thursday, the company said that it would be issuing more than 2.3 million shares to raise capital in order to stay afloat. The offering is expected to raise $43 million. This would be, if you do the math, about a 1.3% dilution for existing shareholders.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about this on the Investor Club bonus stories because I think there's some more to say here.
SpaceX's autonomous drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, is on a journey. It's traveling from the space coast of Florida to Long Beach, California.
You know, it's so funny. SpaceX is so exciting and relanding rockets and everything that we almost never talk about their autonomous drone ship naval rocket pads. Yeah, I mean, this one in particular has caught 45 rockets. So it's autonomous, right? So is it sailing itself autonomously to California? Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum.
Well, no. Is it she? Is it he? I don't know what, boats have to,
Oh, right, yeah.
I don't know. Of Course I Still Love You just met up with Mighty Servant 1, a semi-submersible heavy lift transport ship. It seems that this is the ship that will be carrying Of Course I Still Love You through the Panama Canal. So you can see it berthing here in front of Rusty's Seafood and Oyster Bar down in Florida. So this is where, I guess, it kind of submerges. You drive the other ship on top of it, and then it picks it up.
Oh, that's why it's a semi-submersible. Okay, and is this to support more launches from California? Is that why it's going there?
I believe so. I mean, last year, drone ship Just Read the Instructions went to Florida from California to support Starlink launches, which almost all of which went off without a hitch.
I mean, thankfully for some seagulls, one of the landings failed.
But that's not all the SpaceX news this week. SpaceX Vice President Jonathan Hofeller attended a panel at the Connected Aviation Intelligence Summit, during which he said SpaceX was in talks with several airlines to use Starlink to provide in-flight Wi-Fi.
He went on to say, we have our own aviation product in development. We've already done some demonstrations to date, and we are looking to get that product finalized to be put on aircraft in the very near future. Wait, so what is he talking about putting on aircraft? A receiver?
Yeah.
And transmitter?
Exactly. So basically kind of like a
Dishy McFlatface?
Dishy McFlatface, but one that's specifically built to go onto an airplane. Because a lot of people are like, oh, why does Starlink cover the whole globe? Most of the globe is water. Okay, right. No, yeah, there's no land. People aren't living in the middle of the ocean that we know of. So, yeah, why bother covering the whole globe when you could just, put up cell towers on the places where people live? Well, the oceans are actually pretty busy places in terms of people who want internet because they're stuck in a tube, flying in the sky, going hundreds of miles an hour.
Going, excuse me, could I get some more peanuts?
Right. And they don't want to watch the in-flight movie. They want to watch Netflix on their phones, whatever movie it is they want to watch.
So is that why the in-flight internet provider GoGo's stock price dropped nearly 20% last week?
Exactly, because SpaceX said, hey, we're going to be cutting into your business.
Another business revenue stream.
Exactly.
Wow.
And GoGo and lots of others rely on geosynchronous satellites, which means that your ping rate is really terrible. Now, the one thing is, they're not going to be able to turn this on immediately. I mean, Starlink still relies on ground stations, so you need to be within a certain distance of the ground station. However, once they get their laser-linked satellites up and running and up in the air, or the space, they're going to be able to provide internet basically anywhere on the planet.
Wow. So you want to work for Tesla as a self-driving car test driver?
So essentially getting paid to do nothing? Count me in.
Well, according to Electrek, Tesla has been listing jobs in California, Phoenix, Austin, New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Miami, Toronto, Paris, Milan, and Barcelona, saying we are looking for a highly motivated individual to accelerate our vehicle-level testing for all current and future autopilot features on the path to full self-driving. So here's the role. Here are the responsibilities, the requirements, and what Tesla offers. So, I mean, this sounds like there's going to be a lot of people hired to do what you just basically said, which is, I mean, yes, I'm sure in the beginning you're going to have to pay a lot of attention and stuff, but sounds like a sweet job.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are people who are kind of already doing this already for free for Tesla.
Yeah.
I mean, the beta users who have been driving around like uploading footage, recording doing all sorts of work. Maybe Tesla should just reach out to them and say, hey, do you guys
We'll pay you to go to work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Tesla Time News is sponsored by Cybertruck Owners Club. There you'll find a crowdsourced reservation tracker that you can update and find your place in line.
Check out their website for Cybertruck news, discussions, and community for Cybertruck enthusiasts and future owners.
And they have a 3D configurator allowing you to visualize the Cybertruck in any color, wrap, and logo, both on screen and in augmented reality. UK-based Vertical Aerospace is planning on going public with a SPAC with Broadstone Acquisition in a deal valued at $2.2 billion.
Some of the major investors include American Airlines, Honeywell, Rolls-Royce, and one of Microsoft's venture capital funds.
Vertical Aerospace's VA-X4 is an all-electric VTOL, which is a vertical takeoff and landing aircraft powered by lithium-ion batteries that can carry 4 passengers and a pilot.
It will have cruise speeds of 202 miles an hour and a usable range of 120 miles.
It's 100 times quieter than a helicopter, they say, and it should start commercial flights in 2024.
And we're going to be talking a little bit more about this on the Now You Know Investor Club bonus stories, which you can see if you head over to patreon.com/nowyouknow.
So this new U.S. federal government report came out on June 7th called the National Blueprint for Lithium Batteries 2021 to 2030. And while I'm glad that it's a positive report, which is headed in the right direction in terms of what the U.S. has to do to prepare for the coming demand for lithium batteries, I do have to vent a little bit. You see, a lot of what they predict will happen is based on Bloomberg NEF's research. And while I think Bloomberg gets a lot of their stuff right, I think they're kind of wrong about their graphs and about how fast they think things are happening. Let's take a look at what I mean here. This is a Bloomberg chart from the federal report used here on page 11 of the executive summary. It's a chart of projected EV sales in millions. Now, at first glance, it might look great. It's upward sloping. 55 million EVs by 2040 worldwide.
Yeah, what's the problem with that? It's all looking pretty positive. It's all going up, right?
Well, 55 million EV sales per year worldwide by 2040. There are about 74 million passenger car sales per year, not including light trucks right now. In the U.S. alone last year, there were about 14.5 million light vehicle sales. So according to this chart, only 65% of light vehicle sales in the U.S. in 20 years will be EVs.
Yeah, 20 years. Now, you might be saying, well, yeah, I can't imagine how anything could happen faster than that. We went from horses to cars in about 7 years.
Let's talk about that. The Wright brothers invented the airplane in 1903. At that time, I'll bet you could be sitting there going, you know, I'm sure some people will take the stupid plane to get from LA to New York, but most of us are going to be taking horse-drawn buggies.
Yeah, I don't want to be falling out of the sky. It's scary. Plus, I miss all the scenery and all the people. I love talking to people and folks, and I just can't stop talking to people.
So let's look up how many people last year took horse-drawn buggies to go from New York to Los Angeles.
Okay, yeah.
None.
Is that really?
None.
None that we know of.
From New York to Los Angeles? But what I want to say is, if you think back to 1903, a lot of people, I'm sure, were very sure of themselves when they said, no, a huge number will use horse-drawn carriages, because that was all they knew. And so you might be saying, well, 65% will be EVs. That's a lot. Yeah, it is a lot. But think about what's going to happen in 20 years. There's not going to be any gas stations. There's not going to be any mechanics that can fix an ICE car, or at least not on every block. They're going to be like the occasional, you know, I've heard of a guy who might be able to help you.
I mean, during the pandemic, you know, people stopped traveling a little bit, and whole swaths of the U.S. economy had to change. I mean, gas stations, there were gas stations literally shutting down because they didn't have enough business. So you're telling me that 65% of their business is going to go away, and they're still going to be in business.
And here's the problem I have with this report. Yes, it's heading in the right direction, but what's the point of this report? Why does the government spend money and resources putting out this report? It's to tell its people where we're headed, right? And since they're wrong in this report, you're misguiding people who might rely on this report to decide what to do with their companies.
Right.
So better, I think, would be to say, we don't know.
Right.
Or here's a range of where we think. Or here's what one person thinks and here's what another person thinks.
Right.
But to put out this chart, which looks like, well, that's what's going to happen.
Right.
And it's wrong.
Now, obviously, this was done by committee and it was done by government, so you're kind of expecting that everything's going to be kind of in the middle of where people are thinking everything is going to be going. But yeah, I mean, you can't have gas car infrastructure at the levels that we have it today, where it's like, oh, I don't have to worry about filling up my car. If it gets down to where the light goes on, I'll just look around with my eyes for a gas station. That doesn't happen when 65% of the cars that are selling currently on the road, and have been continually selling up till that point, there won't be as many gas stations around, and people won't want them anymore.
Many states are saying they're going to ban these cars by
2030.
So it's like to say that we're going to, it's just, look,
really?
Let's move on to another report, which came out from our friends at ARK Invest. They've issued this new report as well. It's part of their Big Ideas 2021 report. And ARK has some ideas about what they think the autonomous ride-hailing market will be worth.
So in 2025, the platform provider in purple should be worth $190 billion. And by 2030, just the platform providers should be earning over $1 trillion per year.
Yeah, not to mention $250 billion in earnings for auto manufacturers that can put their cars on the platform, and $70 billion for fleet owners who have their vehicles on the platform.
So who does ARK think will win the platform game?
Well, ARK says Tesla's approach is camera-based, with less accurate sensors than LiDAR, making the path to full autonomy a more difficult problem to solve. Cameras do not rely on high-definition maps and should enable a much more scalable service. Tesla's could be the first autonomous taxi network to scale nationally.
Does ARK think that this is going to happen as quickly as Elon seems to think it is?
Well, here's a chart from ARK. Red is Tesla's projected adoption curve. Purple is ARK's forecast. And black at the bottom is Waymo's adoption curve.
It's more like an adoption line, but okay. So Tesla thinks that they'll have about a 10% adoption in 2024, and ARK thinks about half that.
Yeah, ARK thinks there is only a 30% probability that Tesla will launch the Tesla network next year in 2022. But they say, if Tesla launches its autonomous ride-hailing service successfully in 2022, ARK estimates adoption could approach 20% by 2025. If Waymo or GM is successful, adoption probably will be limited to 1% during the next 5 years.
And ARK estimates that autonomous ride-hailing will cost just 25 cents per mile for the consumer.
Yeah, so this is, I guess, what I'm trying to talk about here with these two reports, right? You get the government saying that, like, well, it's going to go pretty slow, but we'll get there.
Going.
And ARK is telling you this whole different story that sounds crazy. It's basically saying we're going to have autonomous ride-hailing networks, and whoever can make this platform is going to make a lot of money. Now, it could be Uber, it could be Lyft, it could be Tesla, but they're basically putting their money on Tesla.
So here's my thing, and why I think the government's report is spot on, because they read ARK Invest report.
Oh, no, they didn't.
And they thought, clearly, if the robo-taxis are going to be taking over, then people are going to buy fewer cars. So what they didn't show was the number of gas cars that were going to be sold, which would, of course, die out in the next, 10-ish years. And then the number of actual all cars would get lower because most people would be using robo-taxis and the cars wouldn't be sitting in parking lots 99% of the time.
You're absolutely right. If you have to combine these two ideas, basically there are going to be less cars sold because you're not going to want to own your own car at some point in the future, in the very near future. You're going to call for a car on the network, and that's going to take care of most people's needs.
Now, if people don't believe you, did you write some kind of really in-depth series about this that they could go watch somewhere maybe?
I did. It's a 10-part series called Our Autonomous Driving Future, which I kind of walk through all the points of how we're going to get to where ARK thinks we're going to get to.
So if you want to go watch that, we will put that in the description below. Or just search our channel for Autonomous Driving Future. It's a 10-part series.
And it was before ARK even came up with their ideas.
Yeah, so take that, ARK.
Maybe they took my ideas. So the Swedish battery manufacturer Northvolt just announced that they raised $2.75 billion in a private financing round to add 60 gigawatt hours of production capacity to their already impressive 90 gigawatt hours of capacity.
Volkswagen announced that they were investing $620 million on this round to maintain their 20% stake in Northvolt.
Northvolt's first factory in Skellefteå, Sweden, is expected to start making batteries this year.
Their second factory, Northvolt Zwei, which will be owned by VW, will start producing in 2024.
Now, this extra money that they're raising will allow the first factory to increase capacity from 40 gigawatt hours to 60 gigawatt hours per year. So this is a lot of battery manufacturing taking place in Europe, which is really exciting. Ford unveiled a new hybrid electric pickup truck last Tuesday called the Maverick. It's smaller than a Ford F-150, and it'll have a starting price under $20,000.
Smaller than a Ford F-150? How small?
Well, here's a chart that makes it easier to see the scale. You can see the Ford F-150 Super Cab, and then it goes all the way down to the Maverick, which is the smallest.
Cool. So, I mean, they just came out with the Lightning, which, of course, is all electric. And this one is, like a plug-in hybrid?
Well, it has no plug. So it's just a gas engine that powers an electric motor. So, folks, this is a gas-powered pickup truck. You can call it whatever you want, but you got to put gas in to make it go.
So then why are we reporting on it as a new electric pickup truck?
Well, because Mike Levine, Ford's North American product communications manager, tweeted out an image of the silhouette of an electric pickup truck when people asked him about a possible electric Maverick.
So basically, this continues the hints that Ford has been giving lately about the electric Explorer, Bronco, and Lincoln SUV. So
yeah,
they're hinting at it. I mean, I could see how you wouldn't want to like let the cat out of the bag with like, here's all of our new electric models. I think Ford, shareholders and enthusiasts might be a little overwhelmed by that. So you say, here's our Ford F-150, and people are like, oh, Ford F-150. Maybe you wait for that to even come out or just work its way through the lexicon, and then you can start rolling out some of these other ones.
It's two problems. Ford has the Osborne effect, and Ford has production problems.
Yeah.
They can't make electrics fast enough if they could, and they don't want to turn off all their existing customers. So they're in a tight bind, and they have to kind of thread the needle in terms of slowly releasing products, yet keeping their potential electric customers excited.
I, of course, am an electric customer, so when they are like, oh, we're going to hint at it, I'm like, really, guys? But I can see how they do have to thread this needle, because if they came out and they're just like, we're going all electric, guys, everyone's going to go like, you're going to do what? So yeah, I mean, a fully electric Maverick would be pretty nice.
I mean, especially if they could keep that starting price.
That would be even nicer.
Imagine you get the $10,000 or $12,500 incentive. It's like practically a free truck.
That'd be insane, yeah.
All right, Eli is here again with us for the Starman Report.
Welcome back to the Starman Report, and I'm here to announce that the space race is officially underway. But it's not in the way that you might think. Last month on Twitter, Elon Musk announced that he is going to send a cryptocurrency-funded satellite called Doge 1 to the moon. Doge 1 is a CubeSat designed to acquire lunar spatial intelligence using its onboard cameras and sensors, and the project is being paid for exclusively with Doge. The Bitcoin community was not going to go down without a fight though, and has announced its intentions to beat the meme coin to the moon. In a statement, BitMEX said, "We have nothing against the dog money, but we felt it was only right to help Bitcoin get there first." Elon Musk responded, "A new space race has begun." Welcome to 2021, guys. We have self-landing orbital SpaceX rockets, Plaid Teslas going 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds, and cryptocurrencies in a race for who can get to the moon first. In other news, Jeff Bezos is going to space. And no, this is not a joke. The first private spaceflight, a Blue Origin suborbital rocket, is going to fly soon, and Jeff Bezos is going to go up on the first flight. In a statement released on Instagram, Bezos said, "I want to go on this flight because it's the thing I've wanted to do all my life." This is seen as a big move for the Blue Origin CEO because it shows a big vote of confidence that Jeff is willing to go up on the first human flight of his brand new rocket. Some more good news for Bezos in the battle over the lunar lander contract. The Senate just passed a huge tech funding bill, which includes $10 billion for the NASA moonlanders. It still has to pass the House, but if it does, it would give NASA the funding to award contracts to both SpaceX and Blue Origin. Anyone who says lobbying doesn't pay off, they are clearly wrong. I've had to record this segment a little bit early this week because I am headed off to the unveil of the Tesla Plaid Model S. And if you attended, I hope we got the chance to meet. If not, I hope to meet you at another event in the future. Thank you so much for watching this segment of the Starman Report, and back to you, Zach and Jesse.
Thank you, Eli.
If you want to check out The Adventure of Starman Begins, it is a 64-page graphic novel that is coming out soon. You can find it over on starmanbegins.com.
All right, it's time for Into the Future.
Escape into the future.
So the New South Wales Police Innovation Manager, Leighton Schraw, said that the New South Wales Police, which is Australia's largest policing agency, has become one of the first enterprise customers of the Starlink satellite internet service in Australia.
He said a big, big thank you from the New South Wales Police Force Innovation to the folks at SpaceX for letting us join the program so quickly.
Now, Starlink has about 1,662 satellites in orbit so far, with upload and download speeds of between 50 and 150 megabits per second. Full operability should begin when Starlink gets to 12,000 operational satellites.
Chief IT Officer Gordon Dunsford said that the New South Wales Police is preparing a concept vehicle that will constantly be connected to the internet, even in remote areas using satellites.
Yeah, he said nanosat-type technologies provide ubiquitous broadband capabilities, and hence police vehicles are almost a mini data center running around the state. We've built a concept car around that, which is part of our integrated connected officer platform, and we've got cops getting to the point where they can take those vehicles out. The big telco carriers are in for a bit of a disruptive moment coming up in terms of where some of those capabilities in Starlink are going. And I thought this was a pretty big deal because if you think about Australia, there aren't cell phone towers everywhere. It's a big place, and so a lot of times you're out in the middle of nowhere, and yet if you're a police officer, you need to be connected.
So this is a great way to do it, have satellite connectivity.
And this is just another place where Starlink is gonna, I think, clean up.
Right. I mean, we talked about in-plane Wi-Fi, which normally is like, okay, it's like its own little small thing. You're talking that, you're talking internet to people all over the world to get internet. You're talking to police agencies, fire departments, I'm sure would be using this as well,
yeah.
Militaries, and not even to mention that you can transfer data around the world faster than you can through fiber optic cables because you're beaming lasers through vacuum, which is faster than beaming lasers through fiber optic cable.
Yeah, can you say high frequency trading? All right, it's time for Going Green, and this is sponsored by EcoWare, where you can get some new designs, and we plant 10 trees for every order.
And please send us some pictures of you wearing your EcoWare gear. We'll put it on the show and show you off because, we really appreciate everyone who does this because we carbon offset the manufacturing, the shipping, and the life cycle of your purchase, and we plant 10 trees for every order, and we help cap a well for every order. So this is one way where you can actually do a lot of good and have a nice conversation starter about it. And people are like, well, who's Elon? Why shouldn't I bet against him? And you could say, well, let me tell you.
So NL Group has started commercial operations of the largest wind farm in South America, the $750 million, 716 megawatt Lagoa dos Ventos wind farm in Brazil's northeastern state of Piauí.
When it's done being built, it will have 230 wind turbines producing 3.3 terawatt hours of electricity per year.
That's a savings of 1.6 million tons of CO2 annually. The project started back in February of 2019, and they've had to install substations and high voltage lines, basically a whole electric grid to get the power from this wind farm to the main grid.
And they're not done. They started phase 3 of the project in December of 2020, another 396 megawatt, $430 million project that will add another 72 wind turbines online.
That'll be about 5 terawatt hours of juice per year. Now, the average Brazilian resident uses 3 megawatt hours of juice a year, so that's enough energy for 1.6 million residents.
Wow.
Which I thought was a lot until I looked at the population of Brazil, which is over 200 million. All right, it's time for Sunspots. Now, disclaimer here, Jesse and I are long on First Solar stock.
First Solar, the U.S.'s largest solar panel manufacturer, announced last week that they will be opening their third solar panel factory in Ohio in 2023.
The combined production from all three factories will be 6 gigawatts of panels, making it, according to First Solar, the largest fully vertically integrated solar manufacturing complex outside of China.
First Solar currently employs 1,600 people, and this new factory will add an additional 500 employees.
Now, even with 3 U.S. factories, there is so much demand here in the U.S. that First Solar said it will still be importing about 40% from its factories in Vietnam and Malaysia. That is a lot of panels needed.
That's a lot of jobs. It shows you how many jobs we could add to the economy if we were to, switch to solar a little faster.
Exactly. Now, if you're thinking of getting solar for your house, but you have a lot of questions, our friends over at Energy Pal are your friends. They're going to help you answer those questions, and they'll do it for free. They get paid when your solar goes on your roof. You don't have to pay a dime. So if you want to reach out to them, the link is down in the show notes below. All right, it's time for our video contributor stories. Who do we have this week?
We have our buddy Tedrick, and he has an interesting argument.
Hey, Zach and Jesse. I wanted to give you an update on something that everyone talks about, and that is how much energy is used from the grid to charge electric vehicles. So doing a little bit of research, what you find is that whenever an oil refinery wants to refine oil into gasoline or jet fuel or whatever, they have to heat it up to 800 degrees Fahrenheit. When they heat it up, it separates the oil into different parts. The important part about this is it uses somewhere between 5 and 12 kilowatts of energy to do this. So what people don't understand is that every time you switch a vehicle from electric or gasoline to electric, what you're doing is you're taking somewhere between 5 and 12 kilowatts of energy off the grid being used from our oil refinery, because they no longer need to heat the oil that the car uses. So whenever you look at an electric vehicle, a lot of people say, well, what about the coal on the grid? Well, if you put 12 kilowatts of power and you take it from a refinery and you put it into your Model 3, let's say, that Model 3 can now go 48 miles. The standard of the grid, the standard of vehicles in the United States only goes 25 miles of range on a gallon of gas. So the electric vehicle, if it's a plant that takes 12 kilowatts to heat it up, the electric vehicle actually can go twice as far. So every time you get a vehicle off the road, you're actually saving more energy than you're using. So the argument that there's not enough electricity on the grid is completely ridiculous. And we can see it with these numbers. If you just look at the many studies that are done, we're actually going to save energy by switching to electric vehicles. So the next time someone says, what about the power that comes from coal? What you need to do is you need to say, well, refining your gallon of gasoline uses more coal, uses more grid electricity than simply putting it into an electric vehicle. And that's even if you account for, the 3% losses in conversion and the conversion across the power lines. But I wanted to bring this to everyone's attention because every time I see one of these calculations, they're saying, well, this much comes from coal, this much comes from natural gas or whatever, so look at how much it's polluting. But I've never seen anyone actually do a calculation that also includes the amount of energy that it's going to take to refine that oil. And if they use that, then the electric vehicle wins by a mile. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
And if you'd like to send us your video contributor story, make sure that you shoot it in landscape. Don't put any music on it and send it in. Make sure it's under 2 minutes and maybe you'll get yourself on the air.
Now it's time for the Patreon bonus stories.
Yeah, we have new electric police cars we want to talk about. And it turns out that Jay broke the quarter-mile record.
Jay who? Whew, we're back from the Patreon bonus stories.
I need a nap.
We just spent, I think, what was that?
40 minutes?
40 minutes on...
on the
Patreon.
Investor Club stories.
On the Investor Club stories, 40 minutes on the Patreon bonus stories. Hey, head over to patreon.com.
I don't want to pat myself on the back, but there's some good stuff in the Investor Club stories.
Yeah, you're missing out, honestly. I'm sorry, but
these people aren't missing out.
No.
These are the Patreons who are supporting the show for $5 or more a month, and they get a shout out and they get their name on the end credits. So let's give them their shout out.
Thank you, David Porter,
Susan Smith Denny,
Jeremy Luttrell,
Steve Simeonidis,
Stephen L. Wellens,
Glenn Archibald, MD,
Mattia Baldinger,
Ross Curie,
Wade Ter Heidi,
Michael Sauer,
X Drakier,
Michael D. Laws,
Amak,
Malcolm Thomas,
Joseph Parker,
Renee Medema,
Jack Trainer,
Anthony Costantino,
Craig Lambie,
Del Spiva,
Gregory Hayes,
and Nut Frederick Sobakin.
Thank you so much for supporting us. We can't do this show without you.
All right, it's time for Elon's tweets. And Whole Mars Catalog said, full self-driving is so f***ing sick.
Elon said, one more production release of Pure Vision this week, then full self-driving beta 9 a week or two later. Version 9 full self-driving is also Pure Vision. Foundational improvements are immense.
Elon, stop with the 2 weeks.
Just say it. I don't know when it's coming. I mean, I know this software is hard, but man, 2 weeks. It's always 2 weeks.
Shibatoshi Nakamoto said, when I was a kid, I was super into Nintendo and hated Sega. Then I learned as a kid that Sega was fine, and I just got caught up in marketing and BS. Teach kids that lesson so they don't grow up to be adults that haven't learned that you can actually like two things.
Elon said, to be honest, I was into PC and still into PC. So he's saying... I think what he's saying is that there is a better way to do it, and if you choose that one, you'll learn that you were always right.
Kenny says, do you play World of Warcraft?
Elon said, some engineers I worked with went on to help create World of Warcraft, but it was too addicting. Couldn't afford the time. Sigh.
Aw. See, now, that's the thing. You go home at night and you play some games. Elon goes home at night. Well, he doesn't go home at night. That's the thing. He doesn't have time. He's working on saving the planet.
And he's not like one of those people who's like, video games are a waste of time. I go to my office every day and I drink brandy and I smoke cigars, and that's what I like to do, damn it. Elon
loves video games.
Elon actually loves video games, and he would love to be playing them, but he doesn't because he's playing... I guess it's kind of like a video game if you think about it, but he's playing Factorio, but in real life.
Tank Watcher says, what were the specs of your first computer? The Commodore VIC-20 with 8 kilobytes of memory. Yes, I said kilobytes of memory. And that's less than I had. We had 16K.
Wow.
Of our TRS-80. So
wow, you could almost load a whole song.
And then Teslarati tweeted out this story about all of the Teslas landing in Zeebrugge in the Netherlands.
Oh my God, it just kept going.
Oh no, it keeps going. Yeah, and Elon said Tesla Europe team is doing great. That is a lot of cars.
Were they not in Euclidean geometry? Like, how do you keep panning the camera?
It seemed like
that?
they had already gone around.
What?
We covered this story on the Patreon bonus stories, but basically Squawk Square tweeted out this tweet from Anonymous, but it really wasn't Anonymous. And Elon said, not even a good fake Anonymous. The article is behind a paywall, and it looks like Anonymous's hacking skills are not enough to get behind it.
And then Elon went on to dunk on hackers, I guess. Hackers in movies be like, I'm in.
Pranay said the salary of Elon Musk is zero. His compensation plan is based on his performance, which means his stock only vests if certain milestones are achieved. He still works about 100 hours per week to create a better future for humanity. What many don't understand is net worth doesn't equal to liquid assets. Elon doesn't have billions of dollars laying around. In fact, he uses Tesla shares to borrow loans to invest in his other companies. If tax the wealthy happens, which it won't, then Elon would need to sell billions of dollars worth of Tesla shares. This would be awful for the stock price and could hurt a lot of retail investors.
And Elon said, exactly. Only time I sell Tesla stock is when my stock options are expiring and I have no choice. By the way, I will continue to pay income taxes in California proportionate to my time in state, which is and will be significant.
Population Pace said, did you sell off mostly everything like you had mentioned to downsize your life and focus on Mars and making us multiplanetary?
Elon said, yes, sold my houses except for one in Bay Area that's rented out for events, working on sustainable energy for Earth with Tesla, and protecting future of consciousness by making life multiplanetary with SpaceX. Also AI risk mitigation with Neuralink and fixing traffic with Boring.
He went on to say, my primary home is literally a $50,000 house in Boca Chica, Starbase, that I rent from SpaceX. It's kind of awesome, though. Only house I own is the events house in the Bay Area. If I sold it, the house would see less use unless bought by a big family, which might happen someday. And then Bryce Tech tweeted out that in 2020, 114 orbital launches occurred worldwide, and Elon said, useful mass to orbit is primary figure of merit. So we opened up the report, and this is what we found.
And this graph is pretty amazing. It shows that SpaceX is in a pretty sizable lead, but a little confusing are these little circle-y things, which only account for 1/5 of the rectangular.
Yeah, it's the weirdest graph I've ever seen. But basically, look, SpaceX has launched 61,000 kilograms of mass. The closest competitor is Arianespace, the French company, with less than half of that.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at like ULA, it's tiny.
Yeah, it's like 1/13 of that.
Right.
Adam Klotz says, once Starship is operational, will you move Starlink launches over to Starship, or will Falcon 9 still serve some launches?
Elon said Starlink missions will move to Starship.
Norgard said the smartest people in most every field have a physics background.
Elon said physics is simply the search for truth. Nothing is more rigorous.
And he went on to say physics should be taught with the majesty and beauty it deserves.
Yeah, I mean, I remember taking physics in high school, but you had to like fight tooth and nail with the school to have me take it because it wasn't considered like lab science.
Exactly.
They wanted me to take biology.
Yeah.
I was taking like engineering classes and I loved it. And then they're like, take biology.
Make sure you find something you don't like.
Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
And then Elon tweeted out an esoteric meme of the day. I'm going to gradually replace every part of this boat with an identical new part.
So it remains the ship of Theseus, right? It remains the ship of Theseus, right?
All right, it's time for the Patreon poll. What was the question?
The question was, were you impressed with the Model S Plaid? And
you were. You wanted to buy one.
I did want to buy one. I obviously can't afford it. That's what most people said, that they wanted to get one, but that they didn't, that they definitely couldn't afford it.
That's good. It's aspirational.
That's aspirational.
And if you want to be part of our polls, by the way, join Patreon at the $2 level, and you can fill out all of our polls. All right, it's time for Community Mail Time.
Community
Ka Aliali from Oahu, Hawaii, wrote to tell us about the Model 3 refresh that was delivered on his birthday, Christmas Eve of last year, at the only service center in the state. Now, Tesla delivery people draped a customary lei on it, and Ka Aliali was wondering if other Tesla centers do something unique for their customers. Now, I've seen some bows and like draped things over things. But, well, I was wondering if any of you watching have gotten some unique deliveries from Tesla. If you could send us those pics and stories, because I think it'd be really fun to hear what they do at other service centers. Ka Ayili was also saying that I was shopping at Home Depot, and when I came back to my car, this is what I saw. 4 white Model 3s, mine included, parked close to each other. 3 were the refresh model. Yeah. How cool is that? You're in Hawaii, and you see 4 Teslas.
Can we all start waving at each other?
Yeah.
Tesla owners, please, can we just please do that? That'd be really fun.
Yes.
To just, when you see another Tesla, just give them a big wave. And if you're an autopilot, give them a super big wave.
Arlene sent us a Monroney sticker from the Model S Plaid from Thursday night's event. So we can see here it has 8 cameras, 12 ultrasonics, and forward radar. We kind of knew that. 60% of the parts are US or Canadian, 15% from Mexico. I didn't know that. It gets 101 miles per gallon equivalent from EPA and 330 watt hours per mile. The price we're seeing here is $129,190 because of some of the options like the arachnid wheels and the black paint. So this shows that this car at least was the $119,990 because we talked about that was the original price.
Now, I have a question.
Yeah.
Why is it called a Monroney sticker?
The Monroney sticker is named after Elmer Stilwell Mike Monroney. He was a United States Senator from Oklahoma, and he sponsored the Automobile Information Disclosure Act of 1958, which made it so that you had to have these stickers on the car.
And they're standardized and like checked.
Yeah, so that you compare apples to apples.
So that way I couldn't say like, my super duper Speedy Gonzales 1000 is got a billion horsepower. And I go, whoa, that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Vinny would doctor the Combustor 9000 one if he could.
Our friend Jan in Norway shared us a picture of his neighbor's car, the penny license plate.
And it's time for our Supercharger reviews, and these are sponsored by our friends at Evannex, the Tesla community's accessory store. If you're looking for awesome accessories for your Tesla, then check out Evannex and use our discount code NowYouKnow to save you $10 on purchases over $100.
Hi, Zach and Jesse. This is Carl.
And I'm Ranella from HammocksInTheWind.com, a financial freedom blog where I report how, as an environmental scientist, I am going to retire at 30 from environmentally friendly investments.
And we're here in Borlänge in Sweden. At the Tesla Supercharger with 12 stalls. We have 8 version 2 and 4 version 3 chargers. It's a good location. It's only 15 minutes away from a nice ski resort here in Sweden.
Romelkin it's called. Nearby we have a lot of amenities. We have Burger King, we have Circle K petrol station, and we have Max Burgers, which is nice Swedish burgers where you can get halloumi burgers and stuff like that.
Now you know.
Hey, Zach and Jesse. I'm Antoine.
What you mean, Jay?
And we're here at this Northgate Mall Supercharger that has not gone live yet. It's been under construction according to superchargeinfo.info. It's been under construction for about 94 days, but it's looking like it's pretty much done here. So I'm expecting that they're just waiting for some final approval to open this up. But we thought we'd sneak in there and get the first review in. And because of its location here, right in the Northgate Mall parking lot, with all the restaurants and whatnot everywhere, we're going to give this one a 8 or 9 out of 10. Let's call it 9 out of 10. Excellent location. When it finally opens up, I'll be using this Supercharger frequently. It's about halfway between my house and downtown Seattle. There were previously no chargers here, so it's an excellent addition to the charging network, because right now the only charging stations for Teslas are way north of Seattle or in parking garages that you have to pay for in Seattle. As you can see, this is an open air parking garage. There's no fee to get in here, so you can pull in, park your Tesla, charge your Tesla, and run and get something to eat or get a little shopping in. So that's it from us here at Tech Taste Daily. Back to you, Zach and Jesse.
Hey there, Zach and Jesse. This is Jorge, reporting on the latest and greatest addition to the Supercharger network. We have a 12-stall version 3 Supercharger. This one is located right off of Interstate 10, right where Interstate 10 and 110 meet. This is a much needed addition to the Supercharger network because the closest two superchargers to the Mississippi coastline. Both of them were 50 miles away, so you either have to drive all the way to Alabama or Louisiana to charge your Tesla, to supercharge your Tesla anyway. This one's in a pretty good area, decent restaurants overall. El Rancho, Twin Peaks, Samurai, I have a CVS, Walgreens, Sonic, also if you cross the street, a Walmart on the other side, Outback Steakhouse. I would rate this location a solid 9 out of 10, just because the other mall, which is the Promenade Mall on the other side of Interstate 110, has better stores and better restaurants in my opinion. But anyway, that's been it. Thank you for all you do, and now you know.
Hi Zach and Jesse, my name is Hendrik and I'm here in Germany in Knetzgau. It's a city in the south of Germany and Bavaria, and we got some new V3 supercharger here with 250 kilowatt maximum power. I'm here with a Model 3, it's charging already, and the cool part of this place is, but let me show you first, over there you can eat something, but the really cool part is that we got here some sport activities we can do. So let me go over there. It's outdoor on the fresh air, and while you are charging you can do here some activities. For example, I already did some pull-ups, and now I'm gonna take a look at my car, if it's ready to drive. I think so, and I'm gonna head to my destination. I would give this place, because of this sport thing over here, a 9 out of 10. It's great to be here, and also the version 3 of Supercharger is awesome. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you so much for reviewing the superchargers this week. I am so happy that we have this. We started this so long ago. It was back when like superchargers, like Tesla couldn't put superchargers where they wanted.
Yeah.
And it was like you'd just be in the middle of a field sometimes.
And now we got people trying to be the first to review it as soon as they open. So it's awesome. Thank you so much to everyone who does it. And if you haven't done one, you can do one even if it's been done before.
And we have new superchargers in the world. So if you're worried and you're like, oh, the supercharger's been reviewed, which they haven't.
Always more. And these are all over the world this week. So there's a chance that it'll be near you. Number 95 in Germany, the 16-stall 250 kilowatt in Erlangen, Germany.
Number 41 in Australia, the 6-stall 250 kilowatt limited hours is in Tomble, Queensland, Australia.
Number 223 in California is the 7-stall urban in La Jolla, California.
Number 10 in Finland is the 4-stall version 3 in Karisvantu, Finland.
Number 11 in Iowa is the 8-stall version 3 in Mount Pleasant, Iowa.
Number 3 in Iceland is the 2-stall 150 kilowatt in Eaglestøyer in Iceland. I'm sorry for the pronunciation.
Number 77 in the UK is the 4-stall version 3 in Nottingham.
Number 16 in Missouri is the 8-stall version 3 in Concordia, Missouri.
Number 113 in Canada is the 12-stall version 3 in Coquitlam, British Columbia.
Number 23 in Switzerland. They have 23 in Switzerland?
Yeah.
Wow. Number 638 in Europe, and number 2,786 in the world is the 6-stall urban supercharger in Cadenazzo, Switzerland.
Nice. That's a nice number.
Yeah.
So go out there and get some reviews of them. All right, it's time for the Patreon giveaway. And if you'd like to get yourself into this big barrel of fun and possibly win a $30 gift card to EcoWare, then join us on Patreon. The more you support us, the more times you get in the big barrel of fun. Who's our winner this week?
The winner is Mohammed Al-Nuami.
Mohammed, congratulations. You won yourself maybe this t-shirt if you want to go get that. You can pick up anything you want. We make everything, first of all, we design everything with solar energy because we're powered by solar energy. And then we're completely offsetting everything. So when you buy a tee, we plant 10 trees, we cap a well. And so everything you get is carbon offset and actually carbon negative. It's so awesome.
Thank you so much for watching this episode.
This was episode 249, by the way. What follows that?
250. And I just want to point out that we have done Tesla Time News, and you can go back and check on youtube.com that we have done a Tesla Time News every single week for 249 weeks in a row. which is a lot.
Hey, I have an idea.
What?
Would you like to take a vacation next week?
Yes.
But we can't because we have to come up with an episode.
Okay, we've done 249 episodes now. There's got to be some good stuff in some of those older ones.
There is.
So let's...
Oh, you think what I'm thinking?
I'm thinking maybe we show some of our older videos and see if you see the progress that we've made.
Yeah, let's do a best of.
All right, let's do that. So next week we'll be doing a best of in celebration for episode 250, and we're going to take the first vacation that we've taken ever.
At the same time.
At the same time. We've never both taken off Tesla Time News ever. It's going to feel really weird.
Maybe we're going to have so much fun we'll never come back.
We're definitely going to come back. There's so much Tesla news that we're going to have to be covering. And I couldn't live my life if I wasn't doing this show. So thank you so much for watching this show. Please be sure to hit the subscribe button. Do me a favor. If you're already subscribed, do this quick thing. Unsubscribe, resubscribe, and then hit the bell button, because what YouTube does for some reason is after a while,
they're like, he's not really subscribed.
They don't show you the notifications. So if you haven't been getting notifications, just try resubscribing. I don't know, give it a shot, and hit the like button. We've been sitting here in these chairs for about 4 hours.
I think my legs are asleep.
To try and bring you the news and Patreon bonus stories and the Investor Club bonus stories. There's a lot of really great stuff. If you head over to patreon.com/nowyouknow, I think we put up I don't know, we were putting up a lot of stuff on our Patreon. So if you're like, oh, I love Zach and Jesse, I love watching your shows, I want more, there's more. You just got to head over to Patreon and go check it out. We'll see you next week.
Now you know.